Welcome to another Georgia Department of Community Affairs Office of Portfolio Management training. This training is preparing for an inspection. In this training, we will review the DCA compliance inspection timeline that aims to prepare our housing managers for a successful Inspire inspection. Our DCA compliance team follows a compliance review timeline that serves to guide our internal team and external partners through the required inspection process. Likely everyone is now aware that we have switched to a new inspection protocol. But just to review, on May 11th, 2023, HUD published the Economic Growth, Regulatory Relief, and Consumer Protection Act, implementation of national standards for the physical inspection of real estate, or INSPIRE final rule in the Federal Register. INSPIRE final rule establishes a new approach to defining and assessing housing quality. That said, DCA implements INSPIRE on July 1st, 2023. This timeline follows that protocol. So let's review the process. Yes. First, reviews are scheduled by our compliance team. For physical inspections, DCA will send a notice of inspection alerting you that we will be conducting an audit review of your property. While the notice alerts you to the pending review, you will only receive the specific details about the review, such as date, time, specific units, and the assigned compliance officer in a separate email. In response to your notice, you are required to send 24-hour notice to tenants informing them an inspection will occur. Be sure to assign a manager to attend the inspection. On the day of the inspection, a sampling of your units will be chosen at random. Pull the keys for the selected units ahead of your designated inspection time. At the conclusion of your inspection, the assigned manager will need to sign the health and safety information in the presence of the on-site inspector. If any violations were identified during your inspection, you will receive a notice of health and safety violation. Follow the instructions on how to submit your cures. Okay, so under additional notes, you will find the directions to uploading your preliminary documents, tenant files, and cures in the Emphasis Certification Portal. To request technical assistance with the Emphasis Certification Portal, please reach out to the Portfolio Management Team at hfdemphasis@dca.ga.gov. Now let's take a look at the requirements for the file audit. Your pre-audit documents are due within 72 hours or 4 days of the inspection notice. Once pre-audit documents are received, you will be notified of the files requested for review. Please note here that all tenant files are due by the 15th day of the inspection notice, not the 15th of the month. Now that you have received and reviewed your notice of inspection, submitted your pre-audit documents in Emphasis, have taken the necessary steps to prepare both your tenants and staff of the inspection, a contracted DCA inspector goes to the site and performs a physical inspection. Findings are reported in the Emphasis inspection portal. Following the inspection, submit the tenant files in the Emphasis certification portal for the units the contract inspector reviewed. Again, the steps can be found under additional notes in your inspection notice. All right, so let's take a look at the Emphasis certification portal, where you will need to submit all audit-related documents and files. Once you log into the certification portal, navigate to the correct project number using either the project name, the property name, Georgia ID number, or GAID. All the same. Once you are in that project, click on Upload Files as you can see on the left-hand side or this left panel. Scroll to the bottom of that page to navigate to miscellaneous. The next step in the audit process is a DCA auditor will review the tenant files submitted via the Emphasis certification portal. Next, for quality assurance, a compliance officer reviews the files and physical reports for accuracy. It is the CO that then prepares the findings letter, notifying the owner managers of the file physical inspection results. There are typically 4 attachments within this communication. 1, or A, the findings letter. B, the file findings report. C, the physical findings report. And lastly, the DCA property findings cover sheet. We want to acknowledge here that we have heard your feedback related to the cover sheet, and we appreciate your feedback in candor. We have taken all of your feedback into consideration, and we will be using that feedback to make improvements to the cover sheet. Upon receiving your findings letter and reports, owner managers have the opportunity to cure the noncompliance within 30 days or 24 hours if the finding carries a life-threatening severity rating. Corrections for each finding or cures must be submitted through the Emphasis certification portal. Once again, a compliance officer or program assistant reviews it to confirm all items were corrected. For adequately cured findings, a closeout is prepared. Conversely, IRS Form 8823s are prepared for inadequate corrections. Note, if uncorrected items remain, a follow-up email will be sent first. Now that we have gone through the entire inspection process, let's pull all the steps back together from the DCA compliance review timeline. So day 1, you will receive your notice of inspection requesting your pre-audit submission, followed by the notification of files for review. Due by the 15th day from the notice of inspection, tenant files are due, followed by notifications of your property and units selected for the inspection. You will receive your health and safety as well as your deficiency findings letter. If cures are required, you have up to 45 days from the time you received your deficiency findings letter to submit your cures. Note that cures must be submitted with a cover sheet. The top part of the cover sheet should be filled out with the identified finding type and signed and dated. The cures should be submitted just behind that cover sheet, which greatly helps the compliance team with reviewing and closing out your property inspection more quickly and efficiently. Property inspection closeouts are expected no later than 120 days from the start. All right, so let's take a last look at the notifications and documents for any clarifying details. The email notice that your property has been scheduled for review will look and be formatted just like this. The top portion of the form will confirm the review types. You have physical inspections, file review, extended use, or EU inspections or re-inspections. Your project's funding type is identified here as well. That's LIHTC, Home, FDIC, TCAP, and so on. As mentioned previously, the specifics about your inspection, date and time, submission deadlines, and directions of how and where to submit your documents. There are important things to note. Instructions and forms required for these reviews are located on DCA's compliance monitoring website. The direct link is embedded in the form. Failure to provide the requested information by the due date may result in a reportable noncompliance, 8823s, and or state noncompliance. Be sure you are aware of our updated noncompliance fee schedule. That said, there is a noncompliance fee of $250 per instance per month until the noncompliance is corrected. Fees are due within 15 days of invoicing by DCA. You can significantly reduce errors resulting in noncompliance by just keeping current and updated tenant data in Emphasis. If you need assistance with that, reach out to our Emphasis team again at hfdemphasis at dca.ga.gov. If there are any remaining open items, including comments and observations after receiving your closeout package, they are due within 1 week of receipt. Last but not least, let's take a look at the notice of audit and inspection for any clarifying details. Your notice contains the links for the preliminary audit checklist and cover page. Please complete the DCA property information form in its entirety. Follow the instructions for submitting your rent roll, rent sources, and calculations. Instructions for the day of the file audit submission deadline, following the file audit, physical inspection of property and units, and steps for uploading the document can also be found there. For your preliminary audit checklist, be sure that you are submitting your documents in the miscellaneous section in the Emphasis certification portal. As a very helpful tool, HUD presents the final Inspire standards in a quick and easy table that lists the standards in one column and the inspectable areas, unit, inside, and outside in 3 separate columns. You can scroll down the list to see which inspectable area applies to each standard. As you see, some standards apply to one inspectable area, such as signage standards that only apply to the outside. However, you may be surprised to learn that the garage door standard applies to all inspectable areas, unit, inside, and outside. Or that a toilet standard doesn't just apply to the unit, but it is also included as a standard under the inspectable category of inside. Many of our team members hold the Inspire certification. However, we've left the training to the experts at HUD and our wonderful partners. To understand the key components of an inspectable element under the Inspire program, be sure to check out HUD's template guide and many other resources on the HUD.gov site. A review of the file audit and inspection process, including step-by-step directions, can be found on DCA's website using the pathway highlighted by the green arrow. The review page is organized by 3 distinct stages of the audit and inspection process: the preliminary, notification of units selected, and the closeout stages. Additional references such as the syndicator, update information form, and relevant documents can also be found on this webpage. If you have not had the pleasure of meeting our dedicated compliance team, here is the compliance audits and contractor inspections team who work hard to support you and your team. Likewise, here is the compliance in-house inspections regulatory submissions team. Both teams are led by Princess Cato, Senior Compliance Manager. Our compliance teams can be reached at compliance@dca.ga.gov. Here's a list of non-compliance categories. Keep in mind that this is not an exhaustive list, but if you'd like to use this as reference, you can pause the video here. My name is Tarika Dorner, and I am the Housing Policy Training and Compliance Strategist for the Office of Portfolio Management. For training needs or questions, I can be reached by email or phone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.